say August, but it is September 6th, Cass County Human Service Zone Board meeting to order. Blair is on vacation this week, so Heather is standing in and she will do roll call.
Thank you. Mr. Brayling?
Yes.
Mr. Steen?
I am here.
Ms. Fry? Here. Mr. Hagan? Ms. Haugen? Here. Ms. Comer? Here. Mr. Madler?
Here.
And Ms. Bollinger?
Here. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the August 1st Zone Board meeting, and then we had an ad hoc meeting on August 22nd. If there are no changes or addition to either of those minutes, I think we can approve them in one motion. Any changes or additions? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second by Julie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next on the agenda, and part of this will be in the director's report too, Mr. Gebhardt's in the room, and I thought we would just do a little update on family services. In the director's report, there is a written narrative providing an update, but in August, Matt joined us for that and thought if you want to join us. In addition, in the room is a new case management supervisor. Sierra Sherman started today, so we're welcoming Sierra to the team. The last month, since Matt's been on board, there has been really a approach of training with the team, really looking at competency, organization, and leadership within the unit. Looking at doing some trainings and up speed in the front end of the family services, meaning the CPS assessment unit. And I have learned well also that unit we need to ensure is driving the backside of the unit as well. The practice model has been the focus, as well as being able to do some staffings on board as needed, and to look at improved communication, the organizational structure, and whatnot. Timeliness is key in this process. In that time, we have also accepted two more resignations in the CPS unit. So we are at a staffing level this month. We currently are at 9, I believe, in the CPS unit as far as assessment. And we should be at, our authorized number is 15 in that unit. So I would say we're still in the whole department, it is a concern that we have also last week, Wednesday, presented, and that proposal is also in your director's report packet. I presented a staffing proposal to DHS, some representatives at DHS, to look at overstaffing our department at by 25% increase temporarily in order to deal with the turnover in staff. So we would have some onboarding going in, and we can talk a little further about that in the back end, or as we go through the director's report. But there are, it is a need. DHS, I met with Kristen Hasbargen and then Jessica Thomason, and they were very understanding and open, and we did request, submit a FTE request for temporary case aid positions today to get approval to get moving on that. And those would maybe, if we can recruit, be able to at least provide some as immediate assistant as possible. In addition, I'll be going out to Bismarck to the zone directors meeting tomorrow and Thursday, and I'll engage in a conversation with other directors to see if any other zones could assist or any of our state partners to assist. Matt, do you have anything to comment or add since he's here? Yeah, key that has been looked at, I mean, of course, is child safety. So our team is keeping moving forward, but that lack of experience does impact everybody on the team. And I think by bringing it also to the attention of our state partners, which were supportive, but as we discussed last week on the phone, there is not like a strike force that can come in of child welfare workers because it does take that training. So we need to lean on either our state partners or our fellow zone members. Dan?
Yeah, for the two resignations that were just accepted, the reason burnout, other opportunities, or both?
Combination of both. So that is concern the well-being of the current staff that we have to retain, but also to be able to respond and prioritize and have that. Bringing Matt in has been very positive on the floor. The workers have somebody to bounce things off, to provide that direction. Supervisors are new in our floor also, so they have some support in providing guidance. So that's been very helpful. But it's the kind of work we do. We need we need people. We need people in that. So we're also looking at recruiting and how to amp up our recruiting efforts between Heather and Samantha, looking at some other ways within Indeed and posting jobs within those sorts of things too, to get that a little broader. And then if there's any possibility to share rosters, I don't think we can share the roster, say, of a neighboring zone, but if they have more candidates on that roster, that might be viable, encouraging them to apply for a position here. How long? About 2 years.
Question. So not being in social services, I've got to believe that family services, especially child services, is probably the most difficult area to work in for social services. So they come in, they work, difficult environment, especially if you're understaffed. Where do they go when they leave?
Good question. Some, from in my time here, Heather's and mine, I'm trying to think, a lot of our staff have, I shouldn't say a lot, there's been a portion that have gone to state positions, to those, field service specialists kind of positions. Others have retired. We've had a lot of retirements in that, and others are just electing, some to the school system. Think about that 9-month jobs if your kids, those sorts of things. Heather, do you have? Yes. Yeah. Medical social work. That's a good point too. So yeah.
I was just curious because I know it's probably one of the more difficult areas in social work has got to be dealing with kids, families, and all that entails. So I'm thinking there's got to be, you've got to have a real passion, I think, for that area. And if you don't, there's got to be a lot of easier places to apply your social service skills.
And I also think it's important to build that passion and our collaboration with our community partners, with our school system, with our schools, our education systems, to get out in front of new social workers, or coming out of school to engage that child welfare can be a career. And a very positive career. And we've done some things internally here now to ensure that our family services unit is onboarding strongly and providing the training and providing the expertise to give competence to the workers. The thing we can't close is the spigot of reports coming in. I mean, it's the I Love Lucy. We have to respond. So we have to prioritize, but we also have to prioritize our team members' well-being. And that's what we're also looking at. It's been very helpful, once again, to have Matt on board for both for the supervisors and the staff in the department. Any other comments? I just wanted to provide an update on that, and I will keep everybody posted as we start moving forward. But we had to start thinking creatively on, like, we need to overstaff because we can't fully assess, like, are we right staff because we're always kind of behind the ball.
Is the staffing proposal going to the state for approval?
They don't approve it. I went to Kristen Hasbargen, the Director of Zone Operations, and to Jessica Thomason, who now as DHHS she is now the Director of Human Services, I think, Executive Director. I wanted to have something out there to say, we need this. So then we have to do an FTE request. So that went in today to request some extra temporary workers in addition to the vacancies that we have open. So
That request has been made.
yes, that request has been made. They'll be temporary as of now. Well, we're gonna, we only have a parameter, we can offer that salary in. My hope is that these positions will not be temporary. You know, that temporary is like 720 hours, so they're pretty significant. But we want to be flexible in these positions to say, maybe there's somebody just out of school, or maybe there's somebody just at the end of school, these Case 8 positions that could maybe work half-time, you know, to be creative in that, to get some people in the door, you know, and get that experience. So
Maybe the qualifications will be less than?
yes,
Yeah.
at least with this first round, you know, that we submitted today for approval.
Is there any plans to ask legislature for more activities as well? You know?
That's not that I'm aware of, but maybe other zones don't need the FTs. Mhm. I think my job is to evaluate and to show the need here in Cass County for child welfare. We are the largest child welfare in the state and the largest zone, you know, not only child welfare, but for economic assistance too.
You know, 15 were budgeted. Have we ever been at 15? You know,
Not in my time,
So it
not
kinda-
since January.
it goes back to, you can budget all you want for FTEs, you can't even fill the ones we have, and so it's a matter of what can we do to help I don't know, to find those people that have the experience and want to come do that hard job.
And the retention of those employees. I know I was asked this morning, you know, are you looking at retention? Of course. Little, you know, one great idea, we need a fancy coffee machine. And I was like, oh, I can't buy that. I can't buy you coffee. I personally can, but I can't buy it out of my budget.
So legislatively, instead of maybe looking at how many FTEs, it's a matter of maybe how can we support on the budget compensation piece and incentive piece to keep the people that have the experience
Retention.
and allow them to keep their sanity as well.
I think every state agency is looking at trying to recruit staff and be there.
Yep.
And actually taking each other.
You indicated that the requirements may be changed.
For this initial case aid position might be a lower level position. Any other thoughts or comments?
Does that mean their personal qualifications would be less than what you presently look for?
maybe it might be somebody working on their social work degree. There will be some, but they wouldn't be necessarily assessment worker. They'd be able to assist, take some of those duties that maybe our workers need to be out in the field, and there's some paperwork or transportation issues that need to be done. Some, giving them more, they call it blue light time, to do those social work duties.
I think just different industries in general need to look at, some of the educational licensure requirements possibly being a barrier to employees. It's like to be trained on the job, well, with as quality of service.
Anything else?
It was not a novel idea, but have you explored internship programs?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was before my time. They haven't accepted interns, but that is definitely on the table. We just want to make sure we have staff to be able to supervise. But I think there's some good opportunities with that if somebody could get their clinical time, it's a win-win for both parties. So, yeah, that is also on the table. Anything else? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Heather will do a personnel update.
I have one quick ask. Do you
Oh,
want to
I
review the
forgot.
addendum
Yes.
quick?
I skipped an item on the agenda. I skipped number 4, my apology. Number 4 on our agenda is to request an addendum to our zone policy related to the Family Medical Leave Act, the designee. And in your packet, there is what the current wording is in our addendum to the change is that the designee for FMLA is the Cass County Government Human Resource Director, and our proposed addendum change is to change that to the designee for FMLA is the Cass County Human Service Zone Resource Administration. Now that we have a team with Heather and Samantha, it would make sense to put that in policy that those designations, they're working directly with the team member on any FMLA requests. Of course, we'll keep the personnel file at the county HR office updated as needed, but that would come through our zone HR. Any questions? I don't believe so.
The reason I ask is I do believe it has to be a person specific, not a name, but a position. Same with
So-
EO and harassment and discrimination. And if not a requirement, then at least a best practice. Ambiguity in that space will not work in your favor. So a title,
We say the human resource, the director, what is your title?
HR and operations
Yeah,
administrator?
I was like,
We
human
absolutely
res-
could.
yeah.
HR administrator and operations. So we would say the Cass County Human Service Zone HR and Operations Administrator, because that's directing it right to a person. Thank you. Appreciate that. So instead of how it's listed there, we would update that per Michelle's comments to the Human Service Zone Human Resource and Operations Administrator. Any other comments? Could I have a motion to approve with the said change?
Moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Thank you. Turning it over to Heather.
So personnel, obviously, we've talked a little bit about this specific to Family Services Department, but this will be A quick summary of the zone. We did have 4 resignations in August. We had 3 new hires in August and 2 additional internal promotions. And right now we have 5 scheduled to start in the month of September. It's early. We have high hopes that there'll be a few more added to that list as well. We do still have 22 positions in random various phases of the onboarding and recruiting process. So it certainly is something that has been a focus for the zone HR team in getting those positions filled. I did provide a summary of our turnover thus far, just month by month. And so it was just a tad bit less than it was in July, but right now turnover is at 4.13%. Quarterly numbers will be provided as far as the departments in November.
Questions of Heather or myself on that?
Back to the prior update, but at what point do you consider the staffing shortage critical or emergent? And I think that your plan to overstaff, so to speak, is very wise, and agree with that very much. But on the other side of that, like, is it if one more person leaves, if, and being in HR and staffing, I worry about the point at which the remaining 9 say, I'm out, there's not enough money in the world. And in that case, what is the plan?
We would be, I think we're currently, we're a strong team, but we are short, trying to take that more positive look, but we are in that stage right now. That's why I reached out to the state. I think I know we would have to go and share with other zones or state DHS family services.
And they would help.
Why, we would have to have something here. Because there's not a National Guard for child welfare workers.
Yeah.
But that's why I reached out, because I'm like, I need a National Guard.
It really actually sounds quite
You know,
a similar situation.
Not only to support, like you said, Michelle, the people here, 'cause they're all doing good work, but at some point in time, you say, so what can we do to keep you? And I think doing some of this, and I will be reaching out to our fellow zone.
At what point might it be wise to have, for example, say a memorandum of understanding? I like to think about things after the fact and like, what could I have done before I got here? It's a show of support for your current team. It's in some ways protection for the kids, first of all, in need of services, but for you and for the team. And should that situation, should it get worse, should there be an incident, there will be questions about what was done. And I wonder if it might be strategic to get something in place now. Again, in order of importance, the kids, the team, and then all our other stakeholders. I think it might be something to consider.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is one of the reasons that proposal was put together.
Yes.
I wanted to have, it's my responsibility, to ensure not only for my team, but I wanted to say, this is our first step. We need support.
And I'm sure it's a situation of first impression under the zone organization. And so you're building it.
Yeah,
now, but
yeah. That's a great idea. I'll be
we started it. It's just one level of
formality. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Okay. Moving on, the director's report, which I provided a written report, just giving an overview. We kind of talked about family services already in it, but just overall, the admin team at the zone hosted our team members for just a informal ice cream social on August 10th as a way to just show our appreciation. Ice cream always makes a little things go a little better. And then I attended the Jeremiah program, had a social for welcoming their new executive director. So as a community partner of ours, I went to that. And then I talked about our meeting with DHS and Kristen Hasbargen and Jessica Thomason. The zone financials are attached, and those were through the end of August. So we are at 58% of our budget. We're just $1 million low. It's due to turnover, basically. Then the VAPs are Adult Protective Services, who provide, we have 4 team members that provide vulnerable adult protective services to the southeast corner of North Dakota. So that's kind of a partnership. They are our employees. The program is of course state supervised, and they are seeing an increase in reports. There was a PSA done on that. And they're experiencing their current trends is relating to guardianships. There's just not guardians. Economic assistance is February 2023 is fast approaching, and our team has been very strongly working hard and making great strides, I have to say, in developing new internal work groups and processes that was sent out, or it started on August 22nd. So they're looking at a different way in processing with different software. So that is in the works right now, as well as collaborating with our fellow zones in the Region 4 for economic assistance that we will be partnering with moving forward. Our first step was to look at our process management process, to have a new way that our workers are working those cases, and I think that's going as well as it can be. There is always some hiccups in that, but the team is working, and the supervisors on that floor are working very diligently to get that moving. With that, we are working on a system. There needs to be some way, because we're going from that case management approach to a process management approach. So client or customer questions will eventually be triaged, like right when they call. And right now, we get calls and they want their worker. So we're trying to assist the customers in understanding that the change will be coming, that they won't have a specific worker. Really, anybody that answers that call should be able to help that client. So working very diligently on that. That's all I had for the director's report at this point in time. Any questions? Robert?
Just a question on your final sentence in that opening paragraph. Looks like this wage benefit study will be extremely important going into the session, and at the end of the day, that's a resource that you're going to need. If they're just bringing that contracted partner on, was there any question of them having a product ready to present in January?
It seems so. No, they just, at that meeting last week, and that was brought up, they were in negotiations. They had awarded that contract. They just hadn't announced that because they were still working out the details, but they felt confident that they would have the information to be able to present in January 2023 to the legislature. And it will be key. My understanding that equity and comp is looking across both DHS and the zones. So it will be interesting information to assess. Any other business to bring? That's all I have. Just as a reminder, we will not be having our meeting in October. We will meet again in on November 7th. Will be the next meeting of this group. If there's no further business, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.